this video, we're going to be talking about compound interest. So consider initial principal P deposited into an account that pays interest at an annual rate R, again written as a decimal, compounded n times per year. The amount A in the account after 2 years is given by this formula, which is A is equal to P times 1 plus R over N raised to the N times T power. So note for the amount of times that it is compounded per year, there's going to be keywords that tell you how many times this is. If it is daily, then that means that your N is going to be equal to 365 because there's 365 days in a year. Monthly, that means that N is going to equal to 12 since there's 12 months. And then quarterly, that means it's going to happen 4 times. So make sure you look for those keywords because that's going to tell you what your N is equal to. Okay, so let's look at a few examples. So number 1, you deposit $9,000 in an account that pays 1.46% annual interest. Find the balance after 3 years when the interest is compounded quarterly. So here it says compounded quarterly, and so I know that N is going to equal to 4. And so my formula is that A is equal to P times 1 plus R over N raised to the N times T power. So now I need to identify what my P is equal to, what my R is, what my N is, and what my T is. So P is my principal. It's what I'm starting with. And I see that I have deposited $9,000 into the account. So my principal is $9,000. My R is my rate. And I see I'm given it's at a 1.46% annual interest. But again, we need to rewrite that as decimal. So if I rewrite that as a decimal, that's going to be 0.0146. And we already figured out that that is 4. And then T is the amount of time. And I want to find the balance after 3 years. So my T here is equal to 3. So plugging that all in, I get that A is equal to 9,000 times 1 plus 0.0146 divided by 4, all raised to the 4, and because that's my N, times T, which is 3. And so if you were to go ahead and put that into decimals, you'd get that A is approximately 9,402.21. Okay, let's look at a couple more. Number 2 says you deposit $7,500 in an account that pays 2.72% annual interest. Find the balance after 5 years when the interest is compounded daily. So here my principal I see is $7,500. My rate is 2.72%, which when I change that into percent is 0.0272. And I see it says that it is compounded daily. So since it's compounded daily, my N here is 365. And T, the amount of years that passed, is 5 years. So plugging that in, I have that A is equal to P times 1 plus R over N raised to the N times T. So I have 7,500 times 1 plus R, which is 0.0272 over N, which is 365, raised to the N times T, so 365 times 5. So let's go ahead and actually put that into Desmos so we can see what that looks like. So I have 7,500 parentheses 1 plus 0.0272 divided by 365. Close the parentheses, and I'm going to raise that to 365 times 5. So I'm going to do that calculation down here. So I have 365 times 5, which is 1825. And so I get that this is approximately 8,592.57. Okay, let's look at one more. So this one says that you deposit 11,000 this time. So my P is 11,000. My R, it says, is 1.38%, which when I change that to a decimal is 0.0138. And then my N, I need to see how many times it's compounded. This time it says it's compounded monthly, and so that means that my N here is 12. And then T, I'm going to see how many years have passed, and it says 4 years. So I'm looking to see how much is in the account after 4 years. So I have that A is equal to P times 1 plus R over N raised to the NT. My P here is 11,000, so I have 11,000 times 1 plus R, which is 0.0138 over N, which is 12, raised to the N times T, so 12 times 4. Okay, now I'm going to go plug that all in. So coming back over to Desmos here, I'm going to replace that 7,500 to be 11,000. My R is now 0.0138. My N is now 12. And then my exponent here is 12 times 4, which is 48. And so I get that now my account has approximately 11,623.90 cents.